You are listening to Within Tolerance, a podcast for machinists by machinists. I'm your host, Dylan Jackson of Protea Machining, and this week, a very special episode. Got two returning guests, Chris Zapatini, as always, and Justin Gray. What's going on, guys?
Just fucking living the dream, baby.
I'm lucky enough to hang out with Zap today.
Yeah. For however, I mean, we hung out a little bit.
For 15 or 20 seconds.
Yeah. Because you guys have your...
Our on-site, yeah.
On-site, that's what you're calling it. I was calling it an all-hands.
Yeah.
That's basically
the same thing, yeah. All of Toolpath got together for the first time ever at our shop. Which
is wild. Like, every other time I've been in this place, it's mostly just been Justin and I, and I'm pretty sure, like he was saying earlier, like, it's basically just him most of the time. So to have this place, like, fucking packed it's disorienting. To say the least.
That is great.
There's enough people here that, like, when Zap showed up and just started walking around, like, most people were like, oh, just another Toolpath guy that I've never met before.
Yeah. Just some fucking asshole. Yeah.
Well, Zap, we'll get to your update in a second, but Justin, give us the update since the last time you were on. You were out here finishing up your quote-unquote internship. So how's things been going at Toolpath since then?
Pretty well. We're growing a good bit. We have a lot of new customers, which is really great. Most of them, all of them so far seem pretty happy. We've had a couple of customers really sort of change the way they quote using Toolpath, which is, I don't know, it's really flattering to see that, that vision of what we wanted to come true, but challenging all at the same time, because I think the last time I was out there, we were in this phase where, like, the AI engine, like, we could see the potential, but there was a lot of parts that were failing. And we've finally gotten over that now to where, like, the answer it gives is mostly good most of the time, but you want to change like 10%. You want to change a tool or change op 1 and op 2, or maybe it picks like a weird op 3 or some slanted face that you're going to surface, or something that it chooses to surface that you would do an extra setup for. And we just don't have enough control. So the big focus for us now is to, like, bring that control back in and figure out a user interface. So it's kind of for us, a new concept, because people are used to controlling every single little detail in CAM and, like, setting up your part.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have this AI. It's like, hey, I've got an initial guess for you, but then we have to give you the ability to constrain the AI. And so a lot of what we're trying to do is figure out how to do that. And that takes up a lot of my time nowadays. It's just trying to figure out that problem. And I think we've got some clear pictures on it. We've come up with this idea of, like, require, allow, exclude. Because the trick is, in a normal CAM system, you just tell it, like, do this, do that. And then, like, most of the time Fusion does what you want. Sometimes it does things you don't understand.
Yeah.
And you have to wrestle with it, right? But with the AI involved, you can tell it, like, I want you to use this tool. I don't want you to use this tool. Or you're allowed to try and use this tool if you think it's a good idea. And so there's this, like, unconstrained option that you have to add now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know, it's kind of like constraint-based CAM, where you might choose to fully constrain it, so there's only one solution, or you might choose to, like, just tell it what op 1 is and let it figure the rest of it out.
Right.
And so figuring out, like, a good product design for that is good. The last time I was out there, I don't think we had acquired Chatter. I know you've talked with Pete since then, but that's obviously a big thing. I've been working a lot to, like, meet some of the Chatter customers and go out to visit a few of them. I went out to Creations Unlimited. Visiting that shop was really cool. Very different experience for me. The first time I've been in a shop that has, like, a lot of operators.
Right.
And a lot of, like, employee machinists.
Yeah. And a fuckload of variety.
That doesn't even come close to, like, I think Dennis's philosophy is that he will refuse to buy the same controls. Like, he just wants to gotta catch them all, like Pokemon or something.
He just bought another machine, and I think he, what did he fucking say? Like, Creations Unlimited Machine Emporium?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think he just bought a DMG with, like, a mutating head.
Yeah.
It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah,
because I think the last time you were out here, Justin, you guys had just started down the route of putting Parasolid into the software, but, like, hadn't even fully implemented it yet.
Yeah, that was a huge lift. And it's one of those weird exercises where, like, there's a ton of engineering and effort that goes into it, but it just doesn't show up. Because, like, when you upload a part and it works, you're like, oh yeah, it worked.
Mhm.
And you don't like think about it. Of course, it doesn't work. But like, it's like 3 months of one developer just doing nothing but tearing out Open Cascade and putting in Parasolid.
Yeah. It's fun to work. Oh, also, when you were at Creations Unlimited, which is in Boise,
Yeah.
you stayed at my apartment.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I think you stayed more nights in my apartment in March than I did.
No way, really?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, the hotel's app.
at that moment, I have
okay.
I
You caught up.
yeah yeah because I came back and I stayed a couple nights there, like four in a row. But I was like, oh, I've been on the road for like 3 fucking weeks. This is a problem.
But Boise's a cool place. I get the appeal.
It's nice. It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably a decent time to go too, I would imagine. When I went, I think I went in October and it was gorgeous, but
Yeah.
I would imagine it's not too hot yet there.
No. Nope. It was when I was just there, it was like mid 40s in the morning and like 70s in the afternoon.
That sounds pretty great.
That actually is kind of like, it kind of works to pick up in that we got keys, you know?
Oh, congrats.
Oh, sweet.
So we can talk about that. We got keys. Like we got into speaking of Boise, we got into the shop finally on April 1st, April Fool's Day. We got keys to the fucking shop, which is really, really nice. And the mad dash to like get the fuck out of that place has become like it's underway.
Because like you definitely just want to like move your shop at a rapid, unplanned pace.
Right. Yeah.
Of
yes.
course.
Yes. It was
What could
that.
go
It
wrong?
was. Yeah. We like controlled chaos in this bitch. But yeah. So yeah, because of reasons that we're not going to get into, like we're moving it at a faster pace than we wanted. And that was like, we just paused, inside baseball, we just paused because I got a phone call and they moved 2 truckloads of shit over just now.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah. So like basically everything on wheels is out of the shop.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cause it was like, the plan was initially make a layout, move the machines, and then like, not like leisurely move everything else over. I mean, we can't work in it. Like we just got the keys. We don't have any infrastructure at all. Like no electrical, no air. Like we have all the stuff, but like nothing is ready. So there's like place the machines and then just put everything, move it once and just put it where we want it to be, at least initially. But that got a little derailed. And so right now it's just like, we're just shoving it all like in the corner or in the middle and we'll work around it, putting it in the offices, just anywhere that it'll fit because the machines are moving on Friday. And then we need to be done and completely out of the current place by Friday at this point, which is weird. But
I have a question, Dylan. Do you still have the blue painter's tape marking out where your machines should be around your machines?
Probably, yeah. Some of them. Whichever ones I haven't hit with the floor cleaner.
With the floor cleaner. I still have them. I've been into like a bunch of shops now and the tape is always still there.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising how well it sticks.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it doesn't stick when you're like trying to hold a paint line.
Right.
And then when you're like, these are very temporary lines for where my machine needs to go. It's like, oh, that'll be there 5 years. No worries.
Yeah. And on that note, like we did get like Kevin bought a bunch of stuff from the shop we're currently in at like an absurd price. I'm not going to say the price, but you guys know this, like we got like a forklift, a heat treat oven, a granite table, like a 300-gallon coolant system. It's like the RO tank, a dosatron, a 300-gallon tank, a pump, like the reels. It's sick. Like we got so much stuff. Mr. Deber tumbler, like 5 48 by 24 inch Husky toolboxes, a bunch of like U-line rolling carts, like stand desks. We just went through there and it was like, we want this and we want that and we want this. We want all of this stuff. And then we just threw a fucking scumbag price on it. And like but the assumption was he was going to come back and he was just like, cool. And we're like, okay, here's the money.
Okay.
Yeah, here's the money. We're
Yeah.
taking it. And we just like, yeah, like legit, I think Kevin paid him this afternoon. And like, as he paid him, I Venmo'd Michael Morton like $300 and they got a U-Haul and we fucking got everything out that has wheels. Like that's pallet racking, these like assembly tables that have like vices on them and shit. Like it's good stuff. It's like really, really good.
Awesome.
Super. I mean, it's basically like we happened more or less like happened into a like turnkey shop. Also, oh yeah, and because the shop is that is there now is like going out of business or whatever. Like they owed people money. The fucking their PG got repoed, quote unquote. and we got like, and that was also like a crazy good deal because I think it's like 20 holders, 20 Cat 40 holders, 20 collets, like including coolant flush collets, plus the manual stamping unit or manual press unit and the PG 25 and PG 15 dies for like $7,500. That is absurd. Like that was a deal. I was expecting it to be like 10 or 12, which would have still been like fair and in the ballpark. But like he was more or less like, I don't want to go through all this. How's this number sound? And it's like, here's the money. Like,
right.
Yeah. I was like, invoice me right now. Like I have the money to pay for it. I'm going to pay for it right now.
So which shop was this that you guys closed the deal on? Because we've talked about a lot of them on the show.
This one. So I think the last shop we talked about this shop. There was a shop that we were looking at that was like 3,500 square feet that was divided into thirds. It was like a third office, and then like a third of it was like warehouse section A, and then they had a full wall with like a man door.
Right.
And then
that was
another
like the 3D
warehouse
printer farm one or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
It was so like the back end, yeah, they had 3D printers in the middle, and the back, which was zoned differently, that was just pallet racking. And we were looking at that, and it was kind of ideal. The location was cool, but they were still in it. These guys were still in it, and they were like, well, we need like 60 days to get out. And we were like, well, considering how fucking awful it was for us to find a place, we're not doing this. Like, we need a place now. We're not going to wait for you to find a place. And we were like trying to get them to like we would move in to the back 2/3 and they would sublease or continue to lease the front third, the office, because we don't need the offices. And they didn't want to do that. And so we're like, bye. So we got this place that's like 4,000 square feet. It was essentially 2,000 square foot units where they took the wall out of the middle. So we have 2 bathrooms, 2 little bit. It's sick. I like these places where it's got the 2. It's like your first shop,
right?
But
just double the size,
the size, and like a little baby bathroom in there, which is like the best because it's just a fucking box. And
does it have power?
Huh?
Power.
It's got 200 amps right now, and they're gonna add. This is like Kevin. I don't fucking know like what he's doing, but like dude can fucking negotiate because they wanted like a $1.40 a square foot, $1.45 a square foot pre triple net, and he talked him down to like $1.25 pre triple net while adding air conditioning and upgrading the power. And it's like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it puts us at like right around like $6,000 for the space, and we'll split it, like, which is cool. I'm like, it's close to the shop. It's like 10 minutes from the shop. Like, it's right there. Like, the worst part is.
You mean your apartment?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's close to the shop is life. So I'll be there more. But yeah, I'm pretty. And you never saw X2. You saw X2, Dylan. Like, we didn't have a grade level door at X2.
Oh,
it was
a loading dock.
Which is like sometimes sick, but most of the time, like, actually pretty whack.
Yeah.
And so now we have 2 grade level doors, which is going to be sick. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm very excited. Like, it was like, oh man, down to the wire. And that leads me to I'm going to be leaving here sooner than I was expecting because of how quickly things transpired. So instead of leaving like on Saturday and driving back, I'm going to leave my car here in Cleveland and fly back to Boise.
How does that affect the other job you were out there to do?
It doesn't.
You still have enough time?
Yeah. So like we had chatted, we're going to move forward, but they weren't ready for me to do any work this time.
Oh, okay.
So
Good.
like, I'm going to go out there and they're like, well, we're not going to be ready for you. And it's like, well, I still want to go and like see what we have going on. Cause that like just even like 30 minutes to an hour on site is like crazy valuable. Cause they don't like none of these people know like what they have and what they don't have. And you ask them questions like, oh, do you have tool holders? Yes, we have a lot. Okay. Like,
what ones?
Yeah. Like what? And like they don't, this has happened like more than once. And like, I've generated documents where it's like, can you please fill this out? Where it's just like, you know, part number, like description, part number, quantity. Cause they'll be like, just program it. And so we program it. And then they're like, well, we don't have any of these holders. It's like, right. Like, yes. And it's like, well, can you just like reprogram it for what we have? And it's like, sure, you're paying for it, but like, we'll do it.
I mean, you had a customer, last week that didn't tell you that they ordered different stock, or that they had already ordered stock until after you'd already programmed it?
This is the same customer, actually.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Yep. They're like, well, it's not working. And it's like, okay. They're like, did you use this size stock? And it's like, no, we use the stock that's on the setup sheet we gave you. Like, well, we didn't order that. Okay. How are we supposed to know that? And then today they're running and they're like, they're going to be cast parts. Like they have these crazy deep pockets. Like, maybe not crazy. I mean, yeah, they're pretty deep. Like they're like 2 inches deep, not flat bottom, and like 30 to 60 thou radii in the corners, all the way down to the bottom.
Nice.
And so we're using like really small, like long ass tools to like just clear it out. And these are like prototype parts, and they ordered like 2 of them. And they keep doing this fucking thing where they break them both. And then they're like, hey, they both broke. And it's like, okay, so like, can you reprogram it? Like for what, with what? Like, they're like, just pick it. Like today, I'm like, I just got an email from them like not too long ago. They're like, hey, we're waiting on this program from you. It's like, right. I have to like reprogram it with they're like, well, we don't have the long 3/16 flat bottom tool. So why don't you just use the long 1/8 inch ball and mill to do this thing? What the fuck are we talking about here? This is so out of control. Like, it's like, okay, yeah. And they're like, we really need it. Like,
have you tried just sending them the same program and telling them you program?
Yeah. Here. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like I'm going crazy because he sent me yesterday. They're like, oh, we don't have the tool that like we don't have the tool that you programmed with. So can you use this other tool? He sent me like 2 pictures, one of which was a helical tool and one of which was a Frasia. And I was like, oh, sure. And so I used the one that the Frasia one was the same diameter, just shorter flute length. And he's like, well, will this work? And so I programmed it with the Frasia because it was the same diameter. And then I'm like, here's a program. He's like, so did you send it with the helical? I was like, no. He's like, well, I don't have the other one. Like, what the fuck is going on right now, man? And so that was like when I got to PMTS, the first thing I did, because I was just like sitting there reprogramming this part, like using my fucking hotspot, but there's so many Wi-Fi's, like so much Wi-Fi out there. Like I had to like search through and like find mine. It was absurd. I was like, I fucking hate these guys. This sucks. Yeah.
Oh man.
It's my favorite is like, well, they can't program it themselves. That's why we're programming it. And they're like, well, why don't you just swarf it? Like, oh, sure. Yeah, boss. Whatever you want. Like,
Right.
yeah, I'll just swerf it. Let me
Like,
hit this.
did you just want to do this?
Yeah, let
and
me
not
just fucking hit the
have me do
swerf
this?
button real quick. Yeah, pocket done. He's like, ah, this feels like so. I was on they're lathe guys. That's like what it is. They're lathe guys. And it's just like the funniest shit ever because he's like, well, I'm pretty familiar. I'm like familiar with the concepts of 5-axis. Like, a smaller step over takes longer and looks better. And it's like, yeah, buddy, you got it.
That is how that works. Sure.
Yeah.
That's 100% of 5-axis right there. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Fucking stamp the certificate, baby.
Oh.
Turns out I'm also an expert in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know, but now you do.
Yeah. Damn, who would have thought? It's fucking crazy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Cool.
That's
Well, I'm glad though that despite having to rush out of there, you're still getting to take care of business.
right. Yeah. So things are. Yeah, I hit them up because I initially was like, they were like, can you come on? I was like, Thursday or Friday works, and they're like, how about Thursday? Like, oh, let's do Thursday, and I was like, oh, fucking, I want PMTS. I forgot. Sorry, and like, let's do Friday. Now I feel like a fucking flake. So I'm like, can we like pull it back in? They're like, yeah, that works fine. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Oof.
Oh yeah, and before I guess like we could say like I got my head tattooed again, in like a whirlwind.
It looks cool.
Yeah, I really like it. It looks sick. I'm so fucking obsessed with this thing.
I can't believe that you flew out to the UK to get it finished for what, all of 36 hours or 48 hours?
So I flew out Saturday night, 7 p.m. flight. Like, I mean, I guess if we go, I was in Orfino, Idaho, which is like 5 hours north of Boise. I drove Friday. I drove from Orfino to Boise, my apartment, grabbed my shit, took a red eye to Boston, went Ubered to my car, grabbed my car, went back to Boston, like had lunch with a buddy, went to the airport, flew, took another red eye from Boston to London, walked around Hyde Park, which was like I will say like the weather was fucking insane in England. It was incredible, like so good. I got very lucky. Had breakfast with my cousin and his wife. That was cool. It was really, really tasty. And then took a train to Bristol, which is like 2 hours. Fell asleep on the train. That was cool. Then I fell asleep in the hotel. I woke up, went and got my head tattooed for like 7 hours. Took a train back to London.
7 hours?
Yeah.
I bet that hurt.
It fucking hurt. The outline wasn't so bad. Like the outline was fine. This was like brutal. This was like absolutely brutal. Like at the towards the end, he's like, we could probably finish this up next time. And I was like, yeah, I think we can. That works.
You still have more?
Yeah, the whole top.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then flew, took the train back to London. There's a hotel at Paddington Station. And so stayed there, stayed up way too late because I was so fast. It's so fast. There's just no adjusting to the time. So my body's just all fucked up instead to 3 a.m. to wake up at 6 to catch a flight back to the US. So I flew back yesterday morning, went from the airport, got in my car, went from the airport to a shop 20 minutes outside of Boston to talk to them about doing some 5-axis stuff.
You know what's weird about 5-axis stuff? The same rules apply to tattooing.
Yeah.
A smaller step over.
Yeah. Damn, that is fucking.
It takes more
That's
time.
deep right there.
Yeah. Damn. Snaps.
So you had a long layover in England and got a tattoo. While you were there.
Pretty much. Yeah. And then the guys that I saw outside of Boston, that was interesting because they're like, oh, we want to add a 5-axis to our robo drill and buy a robot at the same time. And it's like, okay, maybe. And then I saw their parts and they're all castings. And I was like, oh, no, we're not buying a robot.
Yeah.
You're not buying a robot. Like, you have like 6 months of process development here before like we even think about adding a robot to this situation. And like, really, I think like with how they do things now, like they're very used to lots of like screws and stuff, like, and
Like to hold the part down?
yeah, like very bespoke fixtures. It's like
The robot can definitely put the screw.
yeah, I was like, pallets just make more sense.
Yeah.
So like the plan, at least like what we left with, because they're like they're gnarly like Inconel and 17.4 castings. Like it's like, oh my god. And it's just drilling holes. Like that's all it is drilling holes. Quote unquote all it is. They're like long ass. They're like super long, like I don't know, what did you say, like 3.5 inch, 4-inch long holes that are like 3/16 in diameter.
Into
Yeah.
Inconel castings.
Yeah, with cross holes and shit.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, it is bananas. And it's like, yeah, we're not fucking adding a robot to this. Are you insane? Like, they're like, do you think we should get probing? And it's like, yes, absolutely.
No, don't get probing and get a low-cost 5-axis to do your very expensive castings. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah,
they definitely also shouldn't get hypermill because it definitely doesn't have like really good locating the part into the casting feature.
Yeah,
nah.
Like I think what we are gonna do is like they use Bobcat Cam right now.
It's gonna work fine. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, so I was like, let's get Master Cam because they're like, well, we use Gibbs on the turning side, and I was like, sick. Let's get Master Cam. And because Fusion's out, it's all ITAR work. And like we'll get a Haberly 5-axis, the table, and put like the little link plate on it and just build it as if, because they do like they have enough volume like monthly to like justify a pallet system. So it's like we'll just do all the development as if it was the Haberly and build all the fixturing around Haberly like pallets, but do it for like 70 grand instead of spending 400 right now. And then when you're ready in like 6 months, we'll just fucking buy the Haberly. We quote unquote. Right. Yeah. We will buy this. And then we just fucking transfer everything over and now you're automated. Easy peasy, quote unquote. Yeah. Easy peasy.
When they say robot, did they mean like part loading?
Yeah. They wanted to direct part load these fucking castings. I was like, you guys, no, we're not doing this. Like, not that it's not possible, and like I'm sure like it's just one of those things. Like this is a heavily Vietnamese shop. Like it's like the like language barriers pretty like high. They're like most of these guys, like the main guy that works there has been there for like 40 years on their mill side. We're not fucking adding a robot to do direct part loading. Like, right. It's just not going to work.
I mean, part loading's hard enough, but like just getting it to the point where you can consistently drill into the casting and like probe it all in.
Yeah. That's where like when I'm talking to the salesman, he's like, what options do you want? And it's like, well, we don't need the look ahead, but we definitely need like tilted work planes and the WSEC, which gives us the imaginary axis, virtual axis or whatever, which is cool. But it's like, oh my God. Like we need probing so that we can find the parts in space every time. And
right.
And like it's probably like realistically, it's probably going to be a lot of like probe, set, drill, index, probe, drill, like and mill, like all the time. He's like it's very interesting because it's not like to the casting, and a lot of it just needs to be concentric to the casting. Right. Not like which is
they're not like relative datums in the whole
yeah. Like they're tied together, but it being like it's like if it's off, but you're like it's technically correct, but it's like breaking through the fucking wall. It's wrong, you know?
Right.
And then then after that I got in my car and I drove here. And here we are.
Wow. I had a friend, speaking of castings, I had a friend who worked at a shop. I think it was in the Pacific Northwest. I can't remember where he was, but they did the coolest thing with aerospace castings where they would take them, put them on a pallet for the machine, throw that pallet in a CMM. The CMM would run the initial program to make sure the casting was good,
Mm-hmm.
find all the target positions and load them into a file that would follow the pallet along to manufacturing. And then when they scanned the pallet in, it loaded in the WCS for the pallet and it could go off to the races. And I was like, ooh,
Fuck.
that is hot.
Yeah,
like,
dude. That is really hot. Hold on. I
yeah.
don't know. Does the mic pick this up? I'm bricked.
Yeah, it was super cool. I think most of it was internally developed too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's so sick.
Yeah.
When I was looking at 5-axis before, we don't have a 5-axis for anybody listening at the Toolpath shop yet. Maybe someday soon, but not yet. I went and visited a shop up here that does turbine blades, and they had homebrewed their own like FANUC control link. So like it was on a Methods machine. Methods 5-axis, the
MB
MB650.
Yeah.
And they like all they had to do was like put a bunch of holes in the trailing edge of this blade, but they would like put them in there, and then a robot would take it off the machine and into a blue light scanner and like take all these measurements, and then like if the part wasn't good but could be fixed, it would go back.
Yeah.
And they would like comp it. It was all automatic.
Well,
It was wild. But you never would have guessed that these guys were like fully rigging up their own automation system.
yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, that is nutty. Dude, somebody showed me the other day. Fuck. Who was showing me this? They're just like, oh, I think it's either New Jersey or Southern Pennsylvania. I don't know. When I was doing the other East Coast project, they're like, hey, check this out.
MB650s?
No. This was it was robo drills, but these guys like built their own Haberly system, but it was cooler. Like,
Really?
yeah. Oh, dude, it like these. It's kind of like one of those things where you're like, oh wow, this is fucking bonkers. Because I was like, oh, this thing isn't safe, and they're like, oh no, see, like the little black bars are on the bottom and on the top, and it's like, yeah, it's like those are actually light curtains, so you can't like reach your hands inside of here, but it's all like hidden away, like really sexy. And then each pallet station had a light, like, so, I mean, like good or bad. But then they built it was like 3 or 4 sides. I can't remember. I'm just like going off of memory. And they had a like the Hermela control, how it's on a pendant or like on a pedestal.
Pivot,
Yeah. Like and it can pivot.
A swing arm.
A swing arm. Yes. So like when you were locked into the side, it would automatically update the image to show you like what programs were running on that section.
Wow.
Really, really fucking hot and like just so needlessly sexy. Like what is this? And yeah, I don't know. That was just really fucking cool. It's like such a homebrewed solution. And then like you like look up their website and it's like bullshit. Like, what the fuck? And it's just like, yeah, it's just like some of these like legacy ass shops that the kids take over and they just do fucking, they're like, well, we have a bunch of money and I just kind of want to fuck around. So like, why don't we fuck around and get in and do some aerospace stuff or whatever? And you're like, okay.
Yeah, sure. I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty funny. All right. Well, we've got a fair bit of questions from the Patreon and a couple from Instagram, but Justin, Chris was also saying that you had a topic you wanted to chat about.
What did I want to chat about?
Tool libraries.
Oh, okay. Right. So we've been getting a lot into tool libraries, and it came up quite a bit today.
And I will say all 3 of us have been getting into tool libraries.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like me for Send Cut Send.
Okay.
He's just got Hypermill. And then you've been doing the pre-tool stuff.
Right, the pre-tool stuff.
So like we're all like, it's all on the mind.
Yeah. So there was this interesting switch for us because like one of the open questions when we started Toolpath was like, do we have to deal with everybody's presets?
Right.
And it seems like for the most part, not universally, but like the large majority of people are like, oh no, it's cool. Pre-tool just names everything consistently. Like we like this.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it anymore. which is great. That's great for us, but also a little surprising that people are like, yeah, whatever my old system was, this is better. We're good with this. But then I had a building full of people here who aren't machinists. There was a couple of good machinists here. Don't tell Tim I said that. He's a good machinist.
Bleep that. Bleep it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, actually, you definitely should bleep it so that it's unknown who he's talking about.
But everybody was like, oh, how do the tool numbers work? And I was like, well, here's how they work in my shop. This is what we do. And we have like core numbers 1 through 10 in the Brother. And then I have 1 through 10 in the Sile, but the Sile only has like 12 spots in the carousel. So those work a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my tool tags. And then Ben was like, oh, explain the tool tags. And I was like walking it through and everybody was like, well, this is like really complicated. And I'm like, it's not. Like, this is the simplest I could make it. And it's what works for my shop. But like every shop is different. Everybody has their own system.
Yes.
You know, and like Tim just basically, I think it's nuts, but basically just whatever tool he adds, he just adds the next number.
Yeah.
So he's just like, okay, now it's tool 213, 214, 215. Yeah.
Which is like fair because at a certain point, it just kind of like doesn't matter. But also like it can just break your fucking brain.
It bugs me when you have like dead tools though. Like, oh, like 37. I don't know where that is.
Yeah. I don't use that. I also like, even though it doesn't matter, it's like I want my drills with my drills and my end mills with my end mills and my like reamers with my reamers or whatever. Like I don't like when it's like, oh, drill, end mill, face mill. It's like, why are you trying to hurt me? This is out of control.
And then I had to explain to a bunch of software engineers like over and over. I'm like, oh yeah, I can just number my tools. I can't name them.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean you can't name them? And I'm like, that's not.
Yeah.
I can't even name the program. Like the program can only be a number.
Yeah.
And they're like, huh?
And that's control nuance stuff, right? Which is like on the Brother, you can't like, and on on the Brother, you can't do that. You're not naming anything.
Right.
On Fanix, you can't name tools.
You can name programs.
But you can name programs. And then like Haas is only, you can't name anything.
You can name files.
Yes, you can name files, but you can't name the program
that's right. Yeah.
number. So like, and then depending on where the program is stored is whether or not it'll overwrite when you put a new one on.
Yeah.
Which is fucking weird. And then Heidenhain, you can just do whatever you want. I think this is like Dylan and I have been talking about this, like, I think the last couple days. And like now that he's like jumping down this hypermill rabbit hole, and that there's like we are like what you just said is what we were talking about is like in the US, everybody is unique and different, and we're all special little snowflakes,
right? Because
we're, American exceptionalism and stuff. We're all sick as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But in like a German or Japanese mentality is like, this is how you do it.
Right.
Yeah. Like the example I gave Chris earlier today is that I'm diving into hypermill tool libraries, and, the manufacturer field for a tool holder or tool or whatever, you would think like, oh, you just type in the manufacturer. Well, in hypermill, it's a drop down and it's the 60 choices they have seen. And if it's not one of those, you have to select local manufacturer and then put in the notes whatever the manufacturer is. And I'm like, what is going on here? And like, I even found the HTML file that it references to pull that in, but they all have, UIDs that the system gives them somewhere from someone. And I'm like, okay, so I can't even really add my own. I'm gonna have to talk to support and just say like, how do I get Destiny added to this or whatever?
Like, $5,000, please.
Well, it's just like, I'm sure that they will just
manufacturers
do
is
it.
an option.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah.
It just seems so like such a arbitrary thing to be like, no, you are limited to our drop down list. And like I told you, Chris, there's like 60 or 70 vendors in there. Like most of the ones I use are, but there was also some that aren't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of shocked. And I don't know if that's just to make sure that you're not sitting there breaking the database filtering by having like Destiny with a capital D and a lowercase d and all that stuff. But
that
regardless, it struck me as just very very German. Like it's very much the same thing of when I asked for tool radius too large advice, and they were like, well, you just do not put a 1/4 inch end mill into an 1/8 inch radius. And I'm like, yeah, but I am. So
And they're like,
how do I do it? And they're like, just don't.
yeah,
Like that's not the way.
yeah, yeah. They're like, why don't you go fuck yourself? How about that?
Right.
And like, okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that came up, and I'm kind of curious if you guys think of tools this way, but I mean, for the most part, I have like the assembly, right? Like the tool goes in the holder, and I try to not have like an infinite number of holders. I used to like really look for deals on holders and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is, cool Lindex stuff or whatever on eBay. And now I'm just like, I just need all the same holder.
Yeah.
Like I'll get a longer holder and then I'll have like a bunch of those, but like 3 holders. That's how many holders I want.
Right.
But sometimes, like, especially as you start doing multi-axis stuff, you have like progressively more ridiculous holders that you'll use.
Yep.
So I'm starting to think of that as like, I have a tool and I have like its primary holder. And then maybe there's like 2 or 3 secondary holders. Like, okay, I'll try the next one, try the next one.
Yeah.
Or are those just different tools?
Those, I would like, if it's me and I'm doing like my most ideal setup, those would all be different tools.
Okay.
Like they would all be set up and ready and just be like, that was like 100, 200, 300.
So you don't subscribe to the tool and holder and then like independent and then rotating assembly. Like you just think of it as like rotating assembly is the tool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And like mostly it depends on where you're trying to save time. And one way where it's like, oh, I have pot, like, and some people do this and they like it. Will in fucking Maryland, we battle, and he likes, tool 9 is 1/8 inch end mill, and the holder can change, and the length of the tool can change, and the fucking flute length can change, and everything about that fucking assembly can change, but it being an 1/8 inch end mill, it's always going to be an 1/8 inch end mill.
And that's Wilhelmina, Maryland.
Yeah.
That's Glenda.
Yeah, Glenda.
The
that
Northeast.
name we can drop because we've dropped that before, and him and I go back and forth a lot. And it's like
that is insane behavior, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't know him.
Yeah,
no offense to you if you're listening. Insane behavior. Don't do that.
Yeah, and so like from that aspect is it kind of makes it easier as a programmer to a certain extent because you're just like, oh, well, I need it to be different. So you change it and then you just fucking shoot it up. Like they're a shop that they have programmers and setup people, and the programmers almost never set up their own shit. So they're just like firing shit off. So you just like, well, changed it, fire it away. And his life is easier, but the setup guy's life is not. And like, it's just a total crash hazard. And
trying to explain that was actually like one of the things that we had people here. Like it was very stressful, very wild. We rotated like 20 people through the 2 machines. Like,
yeah,
it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
We made it through with only a few small issues, but like at every point, and we broke a tap. I messed up one of the down cutting end mills one of the down cutting end mills that you gave us got chip welded because the coolant got turned off and didn't get turned back on.
I mean, it's probably already been chip welded if I gave it to you. So throw it in some lye and call it a day.
And then we ran an AXFPS through like a little stainless end stop, but it's probably okay. It's just a little baby nick. But like these things happened in front of people who aren't machinists. And I was like, that just ruined your day. Like, do you want to keep making your part right now? Do you want, because we had everybody making these little utility knives.
Yeah.
And so like, it's really eye-opening for them to realize like, oh, like if I screw up your program, like if Toolpath pushes a bad, Toolpath, or if it gives you the wrong stock, you can't, right? And like the brothers move obviously very fast. And so
insanely fast.
Like I was like, okay, so you program this part, we talked about heights. I'm going to turn this full rapids thing on and it's going to go to within like 10th thou of that vise. So like, are you comfortable with this? Like hit the green button.
And it's so fast. I'm not around those very often, so it still like blows me away. Like the up and down time of like, it's like, did it even stop? Like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Oh yeah.
But I think I think if you're not the guy setting up the tool and you don't understand the pain of like, and we made people build a tool and we're like, this has to be an inch. And then, well, how do I measure? Is it from here and here? And we talked about gauge length and what happens if you get the gauge length wrong.
Right.
I'm like, it's probably okay in 3-axis, like because in Fusion, you can adjust the gauge length differently.
That was something that I was explaining to that same company, different guy, one of the setup guys on the 5-axis who crashes the shit out of that fucking, like their Haverly gets fucking crashed on like a weekly basis. And this is not this is not Will's fault. I'll say that. Will does a good job with that machine. It's like just the guy that runs it he just doesn't pay attention sometimes, like to the point of they had MTA in there realigning the machine. The tech goes into the office to be like, aligned it, boom. Just immediate.
Good thing you're still there, right?
Yeah. Saved you a trip all the way back.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, oh my God. Like, what are the fucking, it's just like, and so I was explaining to him, like, I was like, he's like, well, it's like, hey, your list has this as a 4-inch like gauge length holder, and you have it in like a 1-inch gauge length holder. And he's like, well, what does it matter? It's like, well, if I fucking kick this thing sideways, I can run the spindle into things. And he's like, huh, I guess you're right. Like,
oh no,
oh my God, dude. And you're like, it's just like, it's these things that just like, it's almost like I mean, it's like a lack of respect for the problem, And it's like, and just that.
I think it's a local optimize. I think it's like, it makes my life easier and I'm not focused on like the throughput of the overall process.
Right.
And I don't want to have to keep track of like another tool number. It's an 1/8 inch. Yeah. My 1/8 inch mill is always tool 9.
The weird thing about this whole, so like Will, this is where like Will and the guy that runs it, where they beef, is that Bill likes to.
No, Will and Bill.
Yeah. They beef. Beef so fucking hard. It is like incredible. It's actually like very incredible how hard they beef. But like Bill runs the machine, and if he sets a tool up, like if it needs to be different, it does get a new tool number, and he does do that. Like he wasn't documenting it very well, and like that was one of the things that I did the last time is I created, because like we switched them to Inventor Cam. We created the entire tool library. Like I created like the tool library for them, and it's like it made programming a bit faster and whatever else. And he did that very well, but he didn't audit it very well, and he wasn't very careful. So he would do what I would consider to be like the quote unquote right thing or like a proper way of doing it, but poorly. And it was just very fucking weird, like so weird. And that was like one of the beefs where it's like, so he would do stuff to make it easier for himself, but then not give the information back to the programmers so that they would be able to make his life easier. And then he's like, they're programming it with tool 9, and then he's just arbitrarily deciding it as he's putting the program in. Is it 109?
Like hot
is it
swapping.
59? Yeah, and just like changing the numbers. It was kind of insane. And it's like because the beef is just so strong that he's like, I'm not fucking talking to this guy. And it is like, but you're right. Like people get into this, I need to crank programs out. Whatever gets the program to the floor fastest is the easiest way to go. And I personally and people get locked into this, like, oh, I don't have time. And I know we've talked about this before, which is like, just give it a little bit of time, a little bit, build a tool. Instead of just like, I can't build a tool. Here you go. Have fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully you pay attention to my setup sheet and build the tool correctly, and don't just like, oh, I got tool 9 in there. Crash.
Details like that cascade into other parts of your process. Like Tim and I were talking, and we were explaining to folks about like, okay, so like we have core tools like 1 through 10, and then everything over that is just whatever I built for this program, and I usually break it down. And so like if I'm ever wear comping a tool that's outside my core, like I need to make sure to get rid of that wear comp.
Right.
When I pull that tool out of there, it's like a bad day, right? Like, and he's like, well, no, because once you like dial in a tool, then that tool is dialed in, like, you know, like 3/10 or whatever. And then anything you do with that tool will be like spot on. And I'm like, no, because like tool 17 will be a different tool.
Right.
And it took him a moment to like shift frame to realize that tool 17 isn't just one tool in my shop.
Right.
It is in his shop.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that cascades, and it makes it really hard. So like your tool numbering it like flows downhill to how you build programs and how you set up tools, obviously, but like how you interact with the control.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of things on that. One, I'll let you know when I make the mod, Justin. I'm planning on adding to my tool setting macros to clear out all those wear comps every time I set, maybe under block skip, so I can keep it. Just double checking.
I did it in my post, actually, in the header of the post. I like it there. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So I can share that with you. And I did it there because that way it's like very obvious that it's there. And then I can put if I want to like store a wear comp for that tool in that program, I usually do a hand edit there, and I'll like add it underneath the zeros. So that like if I have to run that program again, then the wear comp is in the program, and when you run it, it'll get applied.
Oh, cool. Okay. I like that. Second thing, I like your tool tag system.
Oh, yeah?
I know I gave you a lot of shit when you were first developing it. And I was like, this feels like a much to do about nothing. And then when Ben was explaining it the last 2 days on your lives, I was like, ooh, I actually really like this, because I don't know how many times Brad and I are looking for tools that are set up somewhere, and like, oh, you found the empty tube over by all the other empty tubes, and then you're like, well, it's got to be in one of 3 machines. Cool. Okay. And like, it's easy on the Herm list since they're all named. It's like, oh, he can just go walk up and look at the tool table and be like, okay, the 6mm drill's not in there. But then on the Speedios, you're cycling one by one until, oh, yeah, that looks like a 6mm. I'll pull that out. So, it hit home today, especially.
The single tool I remember, I came into the shop one day, and the tool that like pushed me over the edge, because we had like our bucket of whatever was currently built, right? And we could like dig in there. And I needed like an 82-degree chamfer mill, and I knew it was in the machine, but the machine also had like a 90-degree chamfer mill at the same diameter. And I was like, I don't know which one of these is which. And I don't have a comparator or anything. And I was like I was like, I got to the point where I was like, you know what? It's easier for me to just go take one out of the drawer. And I was like frustrated by that, but then I didn't have one in the drawer. I couldn't find that one. And then there was like an empty box. And like 30 minutes later, I still hadn't cut my part, and I was trying to figure out what this chamfer mill was.
It is the fucking worst. It's the worst. Like, it's like, what the fuck is going on? You're like, I'm just ripping everything out of the machine and starting over.
Yeah. So it was actually Garrett Wade who got me started down that road. He had like a nice toolbox bin that he keeps on his machine. I think it worked pretty well. And I was playing with that idea, and I went through a couple of iterations, and I was like, no, this isn't. I just want it on the tag, like like Pokeyoke. Like it's on the tag, it lives there. Yeah. So
it's a good idea. I mean, it like at first glance, it's like, well, this is some hokey bullshit.
It looks weird because the tool tags are like sticking out of the machine.
It does look weird. But then like your magnetic rack that you made, like normally like Justin's PDX, they make they
have like a vertical one where it's like
it's like, so I mean, it's just like a very different way of organizing, but yours gives you like a really critical piece of information.
Well, I think that like just the PDX one is really good if you're doing production stuff, because like that information can live on a tag then. But if you're swapping boxes, like you said, tool 17 could be any number of 100 different tools for me. So I need to be able to see the box at a glance. I'm like, I'll know, okay, I remember building that tool. I know what that box is, but if it's disconnected from the tool, it's like, well, I don't know. I don't remember where I put it. Like it might be built 3 times at this point. Like it could be in every machine.
Yeah.
We'll see how you feel about it when you come back from paternity leave and Brad has changed every tool in every machine.
Yeah.
As long as my standards are still in there, I'll be okay, I think.
Everything. Brad's like, we'll see. Actually,
we use Roman numerals for tool numbers now.
We had a Kaizen event, and he's like, who's we? He's like, me. Yeah. And I
threw myself a big party and redid all the standard tools.
Yeah. Don't look in the corner, just pile of beer cans. Oh fuck.
And the third thing was that I agree with Chris. Like I think rotating tool assembly is the right way to look at those kind of things, especially as you guys are building out Toolpath. Like, you've talked about adding work holding, and I think that tool holders are an integral part of that.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, that makes my life easier, so that's good. But
yeah, I think like if people are willing to be like, well, your we accept how you do presets. That lends me to believe that people will be like, oh, I'll just think of this as an assembly. Like what we're doing, because like we're setting up. This is like an interesting one because like we've started setting up a tool library for Send Cut Send on their MAMs. They have a MAM and an UMC 750.
300 tools?
330 tools. Yeah, fuckload of them. And it's just like, but we don't know what the parts are, So we're like, it's like, well, that's about, maybe this is going to be the part size that we're going to go with. And the only thing we know for sure is it's going to be 6061. That's like the only thing that's locked in.
I think you should take your own advice and just be like, we're going to order tools. This is not the final set, though. Like, we're going to iterate on this a few times.
I mean, that is like, but it's like, even just coming up with that initial list is like, well, I definitely need all these AXFPSs and a long ball end mill and a short ball end mill. And we're just going to throw all these fuckers in there and see what happens. I just bought we got a lot of shit coming.
Just tell them that every tool has to be 10XD. It'll be the most versatile way to make parts.
On that note, I mean, we are going like all the new E-cut values.
Yeah.
Dude, those things, fuck. Like, I just used those for the project in Orfino. And I mean, like, dude, they just crush it. Like, the E-cut line is an absurd value. Those things are insanely sharp. They cut so nice. And they're cheap. Like, they're cheap. It's crazy. Like, how are you guys fucking doing this? I don't think I told you this, Dylan, but like the customer, he's like, I don't know why he hired me. Cause like, he doesn't want like everything that I do. He's like, I don't know, like tools, tool holders, the way that I'm cutting the part. It's like, he's like, well, why don't we just do everything that I'm doing now, but on the 5-axis? And it's like, because the way you're doing it now sucks, and I don't want to do that. And he's doing it in like 9 operations across 3 different machines. It's insane. Yeah, well, I keep going back and forth. Yeah, and so like we set up the tool,
and so you offered him like a 4-op solution, and he's like, no,
2 operation,
and he's like, no, 9 is better.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. And
because it's a bigger number.
And I guess it is a 4-op solution because he does 2 parts in 9 operations, and we would do 2 parts in 4 operations, 2 each. And yeah, but like you set the tool up, I'm like, hey, these are like really sharp, and he's like, oh, okay. And he fucking like reaches across it and just like, I'm like, oh, and I hand him a towel. He's like, I'm not bleeding, and it's just like, he's hella bleeding. Yeah.
Like he might not be yet.
Yeah, but it is kind of like an interesting, I will say, like building the tool library for stuff that's like we don't know what it is. This will
be a cool problem for Toolpath. We can't quite handle it yet, but if you could get a bunch of parts, maybe we could do a science project.
Right. Like that's what I've been
10
asking.
10 parts, 10 tool library, and then we could be like, this is the
I have 5. They gave me 5 parts. There's like, what do you need from me? It's like, I need parts. Like, give me parts, please.
Yeah.
So I can like start to build something. Cause like right now I can just build the tools.
Jim Bolosic just gave you like every part off one of his cars that he was.
Yeah.
Here's 5 parts.
Well,
program these. Please.
I'm actually a little bummed because like one of the parts is supposed to be a valve cover, and there's no valve cover there. Like, I want to do the fucking valve cover. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be sick.
But that is going to be a fun I go out there in like 2 weeks. Not this. Not this week. The week after next. And I think they'll have just the MAM in a fucking 40,000 square foot building by itself. Like, it's gonna be so cool.
Do you need an intern for that one?
Yeah, I mean, well, you should come. Like, if you can come, you should come. Because, like,
yeah, I mean, one of the questions was literally from Phil, and he said, "Justin, are you planning any more internships anytime soon? If not,
so like week 1, we're probably not going to be cutting, but it's just going to be me and 2 of the programmers that they just hired. So like, you should come. That would be a cool week.
I think I'll try to come.
At least for like part of it, and just like set up tools and whatever, and like get everything popping. And man, that's gonna be so sick. Like that, they're gonna fill that fucking place with mams. It's gonna be insane.
Like, that reminds me.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to go on paternity leave until you fix your calibration palette macros so that they're automated.
That might be a little tough considering the current workload, but I'll do my best. Maybe I'll think strongly about them while I'm changing diapers and things like that. It'll be my place of solace while I'm doing this.
Oh, Justin, I totally did it.
Yeah. Well, because I've got 2 jobs that I need to finish before the end of before Monday, really. And we also have a service tech coming out tomorrow to look at the machine for a few hours. So it's
not supposed to just shoot O-rings out the TSC.
No, that, and I had like a weird growling or something from the spindle when it would go from 0 to 16K. And then I changed my program yesterday to stop using 16K and just use 12. And then it went away. And then when I tried ramping to 16K again, it just didn't happen anymore. I'm like, cool, I fixed it. But I don't like that.
Like your car has all the lights that were on all of a sudden go off. And you're like,
Right, yeah. You hit like a bump on the highway and you're like, oh, it's fixed. Cool.
Check engine light.
I feel bad. I think I jinxed you, Dylan, because the same thing happened to me, but on the Sile, which is definitely like at the same level as your Hermley. My Sile, it's like they're
100%. They're probably built in the same factory.
Sile, brother. He wouldn't sell you something bad.
Well, I bought it before it was from Titan, so that's why it's bad.
That is why it's bad.
But
it didn't get boomed.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
I had my son running parts, pocket clips, for the knives we're making, because we had to pre-make those. There wasn't time to make all of them. And so he was chained to the machine for the day. Like literally, I was like, you don't leave this machine until you made me 30 of these clips. Like, and then I'll get you some food.
Shit.
But at the last one, he comes, he goes, the machine sounds weird now, which is a cool moment to like have my kid be like, that doesn't sound good. Yeah. So I come out there and it didn't, not only did it not sound good, it was like,
oh man.
Yeah, you sent me a video of it. It was really bad.
Let's just see if it does it on the next part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like on a machine like that, well, especially now, there's like no service network. So
there actually there's a little bit. Like Aaron, CNC repairman, is like the service guy for Siles. Like when you call, he picks up.
Oh, interesting.
Which was cool because I messaged him on Instagram and was like, "What do you think of this video I just took?"
Yeah.
It's like, sounds like you need a new spindle.
So is like the prescription there, like just ride it till the wheels fall off?
Yeah, that's literally what he was like. If the service finish looks good and your parts are accurate, like just keep going until it blows up.
Yeah. That is a cool thing when your machine is 30K that they're just like, fuck it, dude, just blow it up. Like, whatever, we're gonna have to replace it anyway. So
the replacement's like 3K.
Yeah, so it's like just fucking literally ride it till the wheels fall off, brother.
I mean, to be fair, I think any machine I've ever run that has had an issue, that's been always the prescription of just like, what can we, I mean, we can either replace it or just go until you can't. But in this case, it went away. And I don't know, as usual, Hermla responded very quick. I emailed them yesterday and they have somebody coming out tomorrow to look at it. And I mean, regardless, it needs to be looked at because something is throwing O-rings and plugging up that check valve. Thankfully, Brad was able to pick out the piece of this one. So I think the check valve's still good because those are not cheap. And they're $300 or something, or
and you replace
like
the fingers too
for something.
Greased them.
I just greased them. So that's every 6 months or X number of tool changes, and it's an amount of tool changes that I'll never hit without automation or something like that.
Well, you can't have automation until you fix your alignment, your kinematic macro.
He's like,
that's fair. I think that checks out.
Goes. And I'll be back next week, guys.
Yeah. So they're going to come out and I have 2 jobs to finish, one of which it has probably 30 hours worth of machining to do. And I am still in the middle of programming it. So it's going to be a long weekend. Yeah. Let's just say
one of my developers brought a part. He's like, can we also make this? And I was like, shop's kind of full this week, so you're getting up at 5 a.m. and we're gonna make a part. So he's living the job shop life. But
What's his name again?
Jan.
There you go.
But it's cool because he's like excited to make the part.
Yeah.
And he's like programming it himself. And I sent him with a template and he was like, can you make the soft jaw for me? And I was like, nope, you make the soft jaw.
Yeah. Damn. Some Easton employee.
There you go. Yeah, I hear you need some education on soft jaw making.
Oh, what do you hear? What's this?
Didn't you make your soft jaw a little too loose for your knife clip, or not knife clip, but your knife bodies or something like that? This is a hotly
debated topic. It's a soft jaw design topic. Yeah. So Ben thinks that he doesn't. So Ben doesn't like the way that I built the soft jaw because I tend to try and not over constrain the part in the jaw, right? For two reasons. One, I don't ever have to comp in my jaws because it's not over constrained when you're comp them in. And two, if you're making parts over a longer period of time, then like if there's a little bit of drift or something, like a thou or something, then you always register the part on like one corner of the jaw or something.
Yeah.
And I think it works better. But he doesn't like that. He likes to make his jaws like fit the shape of the part exactly.
I don't like that.
Yeah. So I think over constraining a part is a little bit messy. I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
But that was what he was saying, is that because like when you put this knife body in, you have to like put it in and push it to the left and then tighten the vise, right? And he's like, oh no, that's, you should make it poke yoke so that it can only go in one way. And I was like, I think I literally said, I did it the way Tim told me to do.
Yeah.
Because I was making them the other way too. And then Tim was like, yeah, but if your part like drifts in size, and that, I don't know, that argument really swayed me. Because like, like a thou is not an unreasonable drift, like hot machine or hot day or.
You really don't want to have like on production type shit. You really don't want your jaws to all of a sudden, like you're like pounding your part into the jaws because it's like too big. Right. Or like, oh, now I have to like rerun my jaw program again.
Yeah.
Yuck. Plus, it's just like bad. I mean, in general, over constraining anything is just like not good.
Yeah.
And also you have a fucking probe. Like, just rip the top hat off and probe it, and then keep going.
Yeah, this would be a little bit of a tough part to probe, just because we could adjust the
skill issue.
Fair.
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple counterpoints. I do it depending on the shape. So like any square shape part, I'll throw a couple extra thou of wear into the tool because again, I don't care. Like I'll probe it in almost always. Circular parts, I always want them tight, like either a line on line or slightly less than that, because then you get more contact. You get 2 points versus 1. And then, if I'm not going to probe it, then I make it size on size and dial it in until it just barely fits.
I made a circular part and I made a circular soft jaw, but I didn't comp it in because it's literally the riser for my tool setter.
Yeah.
Joe Rogenbuck was visiting the shop and I was like, I put it in the soft jaw and I was like, this isn't great. I'm just going to keep tightening the vise because I don't care. But I got hurt my soul a little bit to like feel it crunching into the jaw. And I was like, the next time I do this, I'm going to put like, 2 points of contact or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to some questions. Alex Crawford from the Patreon asked, how should we bring more youth into the trade? He's 28 and has been the youngest guy in each shop he's worked in for a decade now. So, he says being almost 30, being always the youngest guy concerns him greatly. So what do you guys think? Doug, also from the Patreon, was asking, what are the top 3 things that machining market stakeholders, like thought leaders, machine tool builders, software companies, industry leaders, etc., can do to improve the mid and long-term success of bringing people into the trade? So what do you guys think?
Like, I mean, I don't know how to say this well, but I guess kind of gamifying the learning process a little bit, that's kind of whack to say, but it's just like how people's attention spans have evolved, so to speak. Like, I don't know, making the resources a little more accessible. I don't fucking know. It's hard. Like, you're trying to like step 1 is kind of trying to like find the passion, who's into it, and like getting to that quickly is like, how do you get to finding somebody's like, oh, you have mechanical aptitude, come fucking run this machine, you know?
I think, I mean, there's some like very high, like sort of like macro level things. Like there's this, for a long time, there was this push that everybody has to go to college, and like all the trades are suffering from this big dip when
Yeah.
everybody was like, I'm going to go become an engineer or an English teacher, or a history major,
Yeah.
or political science major. And like, there's a lot of people that should have gone and gotten a trade degree and not be in piles of debt. Right. So you can think about it at like the societal level. I think maybe there's a chance for us to reframe the way that happens. At the individual level, I actually think when you were talking to Easton, he was like, please send me easy parts to have my people train with. There's got to be like a version of like, I don't know, go work for Proto Labs or something, like where you can like make some easy parts where you're not going to get yelled at by somebody for scrapping their like $50,000 casting.
Yeah.
And get like that positive experience.
Well, I mean, to that point, like you got the Bantam out here,
Right.
Is there like a way, like how they have those like not bullshit, because it like does stuff, but like those like those like coding for kids type of thing where it's just like dropping like blocks, like the block programming, and it's like, oh, you connected these things and this fucking light comes on, doing the same type of shit, but like with a Bantam mill, and it's like, oh, now you have a thing.
I have to admit, first of all, I've had that mill for like months. I got it used.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. One of my employees like picked it up and like set it up and like cut apart. It's the first time that thing's done anything since I bought it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. I like the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a version of like they cost like $5 or $6K, and people are like, well, how do I do serial production? I'm like, man, for $5 or $6K, I don't know how accurate it is yet. And the one I have sounds a little weird while it's cutting. I think there's something wrong with the spindle, but like you could buy like 15 of those and never tool change anything, and just have like a robot like move apart.
Yeah.
One machine,
like literal tack time.
Yeah.
Like just.
Right.
But yeah, like having 3D printing. Everybody 3D prints everything now.
Yeah.
And that Bantam machine, like whatever you could make with an 1/8 inch end mill, it'll make it.
Yeah, that's true. Like the thing I find like very interesting about like the whole maker space and like 3D printing is like there's not really that much crossover from the 3D printing world to our world, or like to machining.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't seem like there's people that do it, and like obviously we 3D print stuff, but it doesn't seem like people are like, oh, I'm really into 3D printing. Like a lot of people get really into 3D printing, and they're like, well, I need to go fucking mill. So I wanted to go do some subtractive shit now.
I think the crossover is the feeling of making something. Like, I don't think that there's hard skills that you learn doing it, but it's like, I designed this and now it exists in real life. And like, I think you can get addicted to that feeling. And then you're like, all right, but now I want something that doesn't break when I step on it. And it's like, how do I do that? Oh, okay. I go mill it. But like to Doug's top 3 things, I would say like one of the number one things that we can all do is like really support our local trade schools. Like you were talking about having a place that you can go and crash a machine and not feel bad about it. I've never heard of anybody getting expelled out of class for, at least as long as they crashed a mill and weren't malicious about it. Like, the school fixes it and they're just like, don't do it again. Let's learn from this. And like, there's a lot of amazing trade schools out there, like a bunch on Instagram. My local one is fantastic. And I think that like showing interest and showing support for those kind of programs is what makes them better. Like I hear about, a lot of these programs that they have 30-year-old mills and things like that. And nobody wants to go there because of that. And it's because there's no interest in them from industry partners locally. So like, I would say that's like the number one thing I would push everyone to do is like get involved with those kind of programs.
That's like, how do you get it to like kids, like teenagers?
Man, I'll tell you a funny story. I was making this part one time, and the cycle time was like 40 seconds or something. I had to make like 100 of them. And I also had to do like Toolpath stuff because this was during my job shop days. So I showed Sharon how to run the mill, and I was like, just put the part in here and like press the button, and then put the part in here and press the button. And then she was like, can Eli do this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so Sharon's my wife. She wanted me to like show her like 20 times. And, like, and then Eli, he's like, he like watched me, and then I went inside and I was like, I'll be right back, and then I'll help you some more. And he'd run 3 parts by the time we came back. He was just like, whatever, like put it in, press the button, put it in, press the button. He thinks it's cool. Now he's grown up around 3D printers and stuff, but I think like when Tim tells stories of like his 5-year-old daughter like probing in like satellite parts and stuff, I think it's just like if you're willing to let them,
it's access.
I mean, it's like safer than letting them play with your tails.
Yeah, and exposure.
Like,
and like I think that's just like ultimately like how do we get access? Like how do we get kids or whatever to like have access to these things? Because there's probably like a fuckload of people. Like you talk to like full blown adults who are like, oh, I mean, we know people who started doing this when they're like fucking 40 or whatever, and and it's like, oh my god, they suck at it, but they're interested in it. We all suck at stuff for like, you know what I mean? Like when we first start, yeah,
nobody started machining at a grade A level. Yeah.
But no. I crashed so hard. We all crashed so hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as much as we like rag on Titan and stuff, like I think that it's that kind of exposure that we need.
Right.
You know, we need more people like Saunders, like Titan, just like showing, because YouTube is so popular and prevalent now for teens and younger people that like, if you can make cool videos, that's going to get people interested. And you know, I think we need more people to do that, maybe in a different light,
right?
That shows off to different people.
You guys have good, like you guys being Toolpath have like pretty solid like media stuff, and you have the Bantam, so it'd be very interesting to have like Ben do some like Bantam stuff, which is like, oh, you know, and like thinking about like, I'm switching gears here, like mid sentence, which is like Andrew Henry has people from like local like high schools and stuff come tour the shop, and you could probably, I mean, just like this setup that you have right here right now is like, oh, you could totally have a group of like a classroom of kids.
We're set up, and I have this like, I have about a 1,500 square foot warehouse in my shop, shop floors, and there's like a U-shaped like 10, like,
just a bunch of folding tables.
Yeah, 4 folding tables, 5, and a U shape is what.
Yeah, and like
you see like 20 people.
Yeah, and the way that it's like with a TV at the end, and you can like walk all in between them. That would be cool. You put like the Bantam in between, like in the middle of that.
So I'll play off that a little bit.
Yeah, do it.
My son did FIRST Robotics for 1 year. Then he kind of fell out of love with it. He's getting back into it. Anybody who's not familiar with it should just go look it up. But I think the way you like people who do FIRST Robotics and get really into it, like need machine parts, would benefit from having machine parts, are 3D printing everything. Their minds would be blown. And so I think like the way you do it is by like going and helping and supporting those teams.
Right. And like kind of dovetailing into all of this, like a tool like Toolpath makes this infinitely more accessible to kids to be able to like create programs and make machine parts. If they can design them, and they're designing them in something like Fusion, just being able to like, and it's, I mean, I do kind of rag on this every once in a while, is like the more accessible it is, like it creates a different kind of problem. But like, and like, that's, I mean, like, again, process issue. Like, and you just need to figure out what like the next step is so you don't breed apathy into the manufacturing system.
I think what you're getting at is like, give them some wins.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like it can be intensely frustrating to stand in front of a mill and not get your
right. Right.
But that Bantam mill, this was cool. Sandy was playing with it, and somehow he messed up a setting in Fusion, and he took like a deeper cut than he thought he would. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was an 1/8-inch ball end mill. I stalled the spindle out, which is a little wild, because he'd asked me, he was like, how much horsepower does the spindle have? And I was like, 0. It has 0 horsepower.
Yeah.
It goes like 40,000 RPM, but it has 0 horsepower.
Yeah.
And so he stalled it out. But then like nothing happened. Like it stalled, it just stopped.
Yeah.
It didn't break a tool. I'm sure the tool's a little worse for wear, but like it didn't even scrap the part. It just like, well, try again.
Yeah. You just like pick it up.
It's
and
like
move it.
Very benign.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that is like, you hear people, I mean, like I've had really hard crashes, and that fucks you up, you know?
Yeah.
Like for a little bit anyway, then you just go do it again.
Well, you go do it.
Yeah. Hey, if you're not crashing, you're not learning. You know what I mean? But being able like giving kids access to like one of these, and that would be like a very interesting like toolpathy thing to do if you like raise a bunch of money or something, is like buy like 10 of those fucking things and just like donate them to like places and be like, oh, and you just like go on like have like Tim or whatever, Tim and Ben and I guess Paul or you just go on tour every once in a while and be like, hey, we're gonna fucking make some parts for your shit right now.
Have you seen those guys who wear the 3D printer like backpacks at like the 3D printing festivals?
Not at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm gonna strap the Bantam to my back with like a big lead battery, like a big lithium, and I'm gonna like walk around like
oh my god,
walk through high schools.
Yeah. It's like, are you okay? I'm fine.
Getting people into the trades is obviously challenging, but I think finding ways for them to have those wins is the answer, right?
Yeah.
And open your shops up. It sounds like Easton's really involved in rocketry and found some good connections that way. So
yeah.
I think that's the answer. Is like, I mean, it's a little wild how many machine shops are tucked away, and like anywhere you go, there's probably like
it's crazy.
Like there's probably 6 machine shops within a 5-mile radius of my shop right now.
Yeah, when I had the shop in Utah, we were there for 3 years, and they're like in the last 6 months is when I found out there was a shop on the other side. Like we shared a wall with another shop.
Right.
Like what the fuck?
Right.
You know, it's just right there. And then like you just drive down a little way. It's like, oh, that's a fucking VF4 in there. What the hell's going on here? But it's like, yeah, there's like people like they just get like they hold on to their stuff, especially if they're old. And you know, like,
but those are also the people who like bemoan that they can't find anybody to come work for them.
Yeah.
It's like, gee, I wonder what, like, yeah, like you said, it's all about opening up your shop and just, I think, supporting, if not a manufacturing program, a ancillary program or something kind of tangentially related. Like you said, rocketry, formula, FIRST Robotics, any of those things. That's how you get people involved in that, because they want to make something and they don't even understand that CNC or just machining in general exists, and like that's how things are actually made.
It might actually, like, Send Cut Send might actually have like a meaningful impact on that space, because when people like get machined parts, like, how do I do this now?
Right.
Yeah.
It is going to have a very profound, like, it's going to be like, I have to say, it's not going to be like ready anytime soon, because like they still have to do a lot of like the software side of things before it like can roll out. Like we're going to be cutting stuff, but it's mostly going to be for like template building and shit like that. Like when it goes live on the other side, I don't fucking know. Ask Jim that. But yeah,
right. Well, I mean, their laser cutting didn't, open up overnight either. Like,
and he is like, they are very committed. Like the sheet metal side is successful enough that they're willing to take as much time as it needs to like successfully develop and like slow roll the machining side. I think it's going to happen faster than we think, especially because of like the Avengers team he's trying to assemble, essentially, with like you guys are kind of involved with that, like at least at a higher level. And like I'm there, and like we've been talking with like some other programmers and other engineers to get involved. And like Phil is now officially, like he wasn't technically involved or on board at the time of his episode, but he's changed his LinkedIn profile so I can say it like now, but he's involved. Right. Yeah.
He had his first day. Like, congrats, Phil.
That's not a secret anymore. And like, it's gonna be good. And I think like that is so good to like, especially he seems so far like very generous with it, like, and probably willing to be like, oh, you guys are interested? Here's like a little gift card fucking for your rocket club or whatever. And just like, yeah, it's it's such like this cool like integration, so to speak, of like having the ability to get parts, you guys being involved, being able to like kind of like take that like and foster that like learning and being like, well, here's an easy path to getting like code and parts
Mhm.
yourself
Mhm.
on this Bantam, or whatever, or this fucking mini mill. DC, I feel like there's going to be a lot of DC ones in schools just because they're so cheap and they're small. Like it's going to be, yeah, it's overcoming the stigma and getting access to shit. It's going to be dope.
For sure. Zach asked, and I don't know if you've been to it yet, Justin, but how was or is PMTS? And I'm kind of curious to hear how that show is in general. Like I've never been to a regional
Zap will have to
machine
answer.
tool
I'm
show.
not going to have time to go because it overlapped with our on-site. We are going to host like a little meetup after PMTS, like on the last day for people to come hang out at the shop, but I don't think I'm going to get to visit it.
Yeah. It was...
Oh, bummer.
I got like, it's pretty interesting. Like it's obviously not IMTS, right? It's in Hamilton. Is that what the name of it is?
The Hamilton Center.
Hamilton Center. Yeah. So it's like very small. It's a single like little room.
You can see the whole thing in like 3 hours.
Yeah. I mean, if you're booking, like, I think I was there for 3 hours and walked through the whole thing like 2 times and like stopped and like chatted with people and like I will say like there was a lot more representation than I expected. Like Lang was there, Methods had a booth there, Haas was there, Grobe was there without a machine. Yamazin being there with the machine, like that makes sense. I mean, this is kind of like their territory.
Yamazin, Ellison, and Haas all have
right.
They're sellers within like 15 miles.
Yeah, so it's all really close. Like I would say like one of the more surprising ones was Methods being there, like with the Haberly, like they weren't cutting. Gossiger, obviously, they had a huge, like quote unquote huge booth, like relative to the size of space, but they had like machines or something in their little booth with like AWR and probably like truly the most surprising thing, like 100% the most surprising thing was the amount of people that were cutting. Like actually cutting with coolant was like Haas was cutting. I don't even think they were cutting at at IMTS, and Gossiger was cutting on the Nomura dual spindle mill that they have, which was sick. Like,
neat.
It fucking works, and like, I think we found out why people don't cut. UR told us that like because they paid for the chip removal and the coolant removal, and I was like $200,000.
No.
Yeah, we just didn't know, and like they just got a bill for it, and it was like fucking absurdly expensive.
Stuff like that happened. I mean, not $200,000.
Yeah,
but we kept getting bills from IMTS, and you just like have to pay them.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah, and you're just
like months
of what? Yeah.
Yeah,
$200,000.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, I mean, and the coolest
could have bought chip briquetter.
Yeah,
IMTS. Yeah, and just not disposed of the chips.
The kind of like the coolest thing though, like about hearing that number is that UR was like, "You guys did great, no problem.
We're happy."
Yeah, like oh, that's cool, that's sick. But yeah, it's like the vibe was very different. It was like a lot more. It's interesting to say, is like a lot more packed in because like the hall, like the aisleways are really narrow, and they're just kind of like more snaking. I didn't really interact with a lot of people.
I'll say this: if you want to know anything about coolant skimmers, PMTS is the show to go because Next Gen, Zebra, and Abernathy are all made like in Cleveland.
Yeah,
and so
and they're all like Zebra's like right here.
Yeah, like a mile down the road.
Yeah, which is cool. Yeah, it was
There's
cool.
A lot of Swiss stuff there.
The fuckload of Swiss stuff. Yeah,
Swiss show.
Citizen had a really big showing. I'd say like they might have had like the biggest or second biggest booth. Easy. Yeah, they had a lot of machines. Oh, wow. Sugami had some machines there. Star had machines. Pretty much like every Swiss company, not Tornos, but like Star, Citizen, Sugami. Those are like your top 3. They were all there. There was also like JTech was there with a couple machines. There was just I was very shocked by like the amount of machines that were like in that building relative to the size of the show. Like it was very impressive.
It's like way less expensive to go to than
It's $30.
Yeah,
$30 for all 3 days. Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
then like
Okay.
Cleveland is like just a cheaper place.
Yeah.
To be than
It was like I parked right outside the show, you know, like half. I was like maybe like a quarter mile at most away. Parked on the street, just walked right in, like got my badge. No troubles. Like it was cool.
Those shows should sponsor field trips for local high schools. That's how like
Yeah.
you want people to be excited
That's
to
like-
go machine stuff. Like go show them all the cool demos at
That's-
PTS or IMTS.
It's kind of whack. Like
Yeah.
I mean, IMTS has the last day is like the educational day,
Yeah,
which is like cool. Other than the fact that, I mean, like I say,
everybody's packing up.
that's what's not cool.
None of us want to talk to
Like,
them.
It's
Yeah.
like everybody's, it's like,
Right.
I feel like the educational day should be day one, like before, like hit education early when everybody there is fucking stoked. Not on day 6 when you're just like,
we're all
get
angry.
the fuck away
We're
from
all
me.
angry machinists at that point.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I want to rip Zin and get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
All right. Tux Garage asked recommendations for large machine chip management, i.e., large turning lathes and horizontal boring mills that aren't enclosed, and also vacuum recommendations or preferred shovels, how to deal with stringy chips. I mean, vacuum's easy. I think we all know.
Yep.
The best in the game.
Yeah. No, yeah, get a Freddy.
Get a Freddy.
Yeah, don't fuck
Just,
around. Get
you
a
know,
Freddy. You
yeah.
like literally will not regret it. It's the best. Stringy chips suck.
So get the biggest. It's like Lay's. Get the biggest Freddy you can afford.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, you definitely won't regret that.
Yeah.
Like even the small, I mean, but even if like all you can afford is the small guy, that thing is absurd.
It's still great.
It's great.
It's just bigger is better. Like
Yeah.
Like if you can afford a bigger one, get a bigger one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wish I had an EcoVac now, but like at the time in my old shop, I
Yeah.
could not have fit it
Right.
under
Yeah,
any
you'd have had to like
circumstances.
suspend it from the ceiling. Like, oh, there it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Then I would have had Simon paint it like a blimp or
Oh,
something.
dude, you're in Tucson. You got to go like SR71 or something. Yeah.
Oh,
I made
yeah,
Tim.
yeah. Yeah, there you
I made
go.
Tim clean out the
That'd
sump
be
on
cool.
our brother because he said he hadn't used a Freddy.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's not acceptable. So here
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Clean out the brother, please.
Yeah, you cleaned that. Yeah, clean it right now. I saw it. It was really wild.
I wonder how long until one pops into
Yeah.
his shop at
Oh,
home.
there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, stringy chips suck. Like I don't know what he mean, like dealing with them in which way of like dealing with them inside or outside of the machine or like how to get rid of them.
I mean, it sounds like
Getting
chip
rid of
management in
them.
terms of like getting rid of them, but I would say that if you're dealing with stringy chips, the first place to address
Yeah.
that is in the machine
Right.
and try
Yeah,
to
it's
stop
like,
making
sometimes
stringy
it
chips.
can't be avoided, but it's a lot of that ends up coming down to using the right tools so that
Talk to your tooling
Mhm.
group like that. Like they're going to be excited to come in and hand
They-
you 5 inserts to try and just
Yeah.
like see which
So,
one breaks a chip.
we just like that is a fantastic point because what is it? Westcott, one of the like where Graham put the robot in and we did like the pallet system. Like we turned a mistake into like a cool project where they, instead of getting a $10,000 tooling cert to like MSC, which is what Ellison Machinery in Arizona normally does, they got it for Kennametal specifically,
Oh yeah.
which was, like for what they were trying to do, it wasn't, there was like, they have like 4 Kennametal tools in the shop. Like they don't use Kennametal tools. It's Frasia and Shunk.
Mhm.
Like that's what we have in the mills. And there's like a handful of turning tools. But with the machine that has the robot, we got rid of the chips by like essentially cutting the cycle time, like almost like doubling the cycle time. But we had no chips and the robot would run consistently, but they didn't like that. So
Yeah. Who wants a consistent throughput that's reliable? That's ridiculous.
So what my buddy Matt over there did, because he's like, what do I do with this $10,000? And I suggested I'm like, call the guy up, say you have $10,000 to solve this problem, and he will fucking be there and solve that problem. And they did. That's it.
Actually, Kennametal specifically is interesting. I mean, I'm sure all the tooling makers do this, but I only know of the Kennametal one. Depending on the size of your project, they actually have like teams of people who will even design like custom inserts or custom tools for your project.
Yeah. I would say I will say your mileage may vary depending on region there.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time in Arizona, if you were dealing with Kennametal, you're fucked. They're just not. They just had very poor presence there. But Sandvik crushed, and they were not regionally locked in or anything.
Yeah.
But then on the West Coast or on the East Coast, when I went to Massachusetts, it was the opposite. And Kennametal, they just had the rep was fucking killer, and he was just like Johnny on the spot. And Sandvik sucked. So even it was a really weird dynamic. Anyway, that's a gnarly digression. But
I guess the point is don't be afraid to call 3 reps and tell them hey, I'm gonna buy some tools. Come in and to show me what you got.
Yeah, try to avoid the stringy chips. Sometimes it can't be avoided. Don't grab them with your hands. A conveyor sucks. Conveyors going to, I mean, they're good, but you're gonna be fucked with the stringy chips, big time. They're gonna ball up and get kind of nasty on you, and they take up a lot of space. And you'll start spilling.
Can you do a chip breaker cycle on a lathe or something?
So one of the ways we were combating it before they went and did this project was if the geometry allowed for it, instead of doing one continuous path, we would do sections of it and come off and then kind of blend the finish cuts so that it was breaking out over and over again. And that was helpful. They just make them smaller. Or you can kind of start to if it's all cycle time dependent, where you kind of pock and groove the fucking the part, and then you cut through the groove. But sometimes it's just on a mill, where if you have you're doing an OD pass through a cutout, where you'll see how the engagement of the tool affect the finish in those certain areas. You get that same thing when it turns.
I've seen people with live tooling run a end mill down on the part, so you have a groove to cut into. But then, like you said, you get weird ghosting, and also if it's a hard material, then you get interrupted cuts, which is what every insert loves
when it starts to go, and you're like, oh no, and then it just starts to gets louder and louder, and you're like, oh fuck, we're cooked. GG chat, we're cooked. And so what was the first part of that question?
Large machine chip management. So large turning lathes and horizontal boring mills that aren't enclosed. I mean, big old shields. I feel like that's the name of the game on
that's
unenclosed
kind of all
machines.
You got, really, is just trying to contain it as good as possible. And those stringers, I know a guy who lost a finger to those stringers on steel.
I think you should talk to Simon and see if he'll build a really big Freddy that could just snatch him out of these things.
It just looks like a hungry hippie.
That'd be amazing.
Right.
There you go. I like that. All right. So we talked about him already, but Phil from Send Cut Send Now had questions for each of us. I'll do them in reverse order. Zap, can you name one machine that is amazing, but is sold from a dealer you'd rather not work with? And the inverse is a mediocre machine that has exceptional service or support.
This is I don't know if I'm super comfortable answering that question.
How many bridges do you want to burn today?
Dude, I don't know. That's a really tough question to answer. Given the if we didn't just go through this exercise of finding out that the podcast has more reach than I had ever anticipated and getting my dick slapped really hard, I probably would be answering this question right now. But
I'll share a sanitized version.
Yeah.
I broke a probe. It was dumb. I shouldn't have done it. And I called my dealer because I didn't know any better. And I said, hey, I broke my probe. I need another probe. I need it pretty quick. Does the probe manufacturer have like a refurbished thing? And they were like, oh, no, we just have to order you a new probe. So I ordered a new probe, and then I went to their open house, and the probe manufacturer was there. And I was like, oh, do you guys have a refurbished probe? And they're like, oh, yeah, you just send us your probe, and like $200, we'll overnight you a probe. Like, it's real easy. And like $1,200, we'll refurbish it and send you a new one or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Like, why didn't the guy tell me that existed? I think it's very local, right? Like, the same company can be good in Cleveland and bad in Arizona. But it's really hard to pick because like you can't generalize on any one company, but it's all about the people, right?
It is all about the people. So it's like, it's so difficult. Like the best thing I could, like, probably I'm trying to think of like the best way to put this is like, probably my favorite machine for like my favorite mill, we'll go with mill and lathe. I'll just break it up like that. Would be like, I really like Matsuras, obviously. If I'm going to buy a Matsura, I would rather buy it from Selway. You know, I work with them a lot and I'm very familiar with them. And so I would rather buy it from them than I'd buy it from like whoever else sells it, just from a familiarity standpoint. And then on lathes, like, obviously I want to buy a Nakamura. You can really only buy those from Methods, you know? And that's another one. Like, I would probably only want to buy that machine in Arizona. And I guess, no, I'd probably do it with like MTA or Maruka, maybe. But like, I know the guys in Arizona fucking rip. So that would be like my number one. Like, but that's a really, I don't know. That's a really fucking tough question to answer. Fuck you, Phil.
So Justin, I already asked this to you, but yeah, he said, are you planning on any more internships? If you are, I can think of at least one place that would love to have you. So
I would like to do some more
sounds like you got
internships. Yeah, I'll take you up on that, Phil.
You did it with me for a day.
That was honestly like maybe the best internship I've had. You let me help way more than Dylan did.
That was just a very intense day.
I was just happy that I was like, hey, here's a better way to probe this in. And I was like, oh, the machine beeps. We could just use that.
Yeah. And then I used that. Like when I went to go do the probe training, I'm like, check this out. And they're like, oh, sick. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's a fucking better way to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's because I was writing all those macros for the Sile. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked out. And then his question for me was, now that I've used Hypermill for a few weeks, do I wish I had switched sooner? And what can I tell the rest of the Fusion fanboys to convert?
Throwing bombs.
Yeah. Hypermill's the fanboys. God damn it, Phil. What are you doing, man? Yeah. Him and I are squaring up.
I don't think I wish I had switched sooner. I don't think we're going to switch for the brothers as it is right now.
Yeah.
Fusion's just much easier and very quick. But things that I really have liked so far, these will be probably rehashed for both of you guys because I think I've talked to each of you individually. But the tool library is like a real database and like works pretty well compared to the Fusion one. Like it has a tool holder builder that you can just upload a step file in, and you're like, hey, this is the machine side and this is the tool side. And then it just does it and loads it into the tool library. And if I want to add a callet, it's as easy as making an extension and telling the callet, like, hey, this is the machine side and this is the tool side. And it builds it automatically. And you can create full series with rules. So like, feed per tooth by diameter kind of thing. And then if you add another tool into that tool series, it just picks up all of those rules and inherits all the rules and works. Having 3D toolpaths that just deliver. Like I was telling maybe both of you, but definitely you, Zap, about the 3D ISO in Hypermill is like what Flow wishes it could be. It has, so it is a UV based toolpath, much like Flow, but you can also just click a button that says global fit and it fits a new UV curve that fits the global frame of the part and it just works. So like there's no such thing as like janky fillets around the top of a part that have janky UVs that give you an ugly, you're like, oh, I tried flow. Now I have to go to another toolpath. You're just like, oh, nope, global fit, spiral.
Because that's
perfect toolpath.
And then like kind of like a pre-step to that is they have just like really slick features to like, oh, I'm going to select all these faces. And then you click a button and it just like makes sure that they're, what the fuck do they call it? The Z normal or whatever is all facing.
Yeah.
It just like, boop. Yeah. And it's based on like your like the Z of your WCS and like just pushes them all out. And it's just like done. You like, it's like 3 button clicks and it's like, yeah, heal it, like check for dupes, heal it, Z normal. Then you just get into it and it's like, the toolpaths they're hot. Like they're fucking hot.
Yeah. Well, and all of that is now included in the new cam plan feature. So you just run cam plan and it's like, go through the checkboxes, like, oh, check for duplicate surfaces, check for, inverse normals. It grabs all of the whole features and throws them into the features tab so you can reference them from drilling ops.
Sounds very familiar. Yeah.
For people coming from Fusion, it is way more work up front, but it's way more powerful. Like, I think that maybe the best analog to it is like talking about an ER versus PG or some kind of system. It's going from like something that is quick and easy to something that takes more time, but is a system that you can like live in and create rules in. And like, I haven't even started on the automation center stuff where I can like rig all my vices and like, it's similar to how we do the container stuff from like, Rob and Phil, but this is just like you run an automation center and it takes you through every step. And so like, I feel like it's much easier to put a newbie person in front of a well done automation center script than it is to try to teach somebody the container method.
Yep.
I think I haven't used Hypermill, but the virtual machine they call it.
Dude, that thing fucks.
Both that it's like so efficient, but also that it's just like built in. Like you post and it simulates.
Yeah.
You post and simulates.
Well, so not only do you post and it simulates, you cannot release NC code until it has been simulated, which is like what I love about it. And I think I told you, Zap, I'm not sure if I told you, Justin, that was something that blew me away was the professionalism of how you get your virtual machine. So they send you this, you download this folder and inside of it are 6 or 7 folders. And they're like, okay, we need you to go to your preset, in Heidenhain language, but your WCS, and you position your probe over it, and you take a picture of the probe in the machine, you take a picture of the control screen, and you take a picture of your preset page. And then they're like, okay, we need to see A, C, X, Y, Z negative all the way. We need to see it all the way positive. We need to see your safety position and, the adjoining screenshots of the screen. And then they're like, okay, we need a service file from the Heidenhain control. We need your serial number, all this stuff. And so like, there's no like guessing. It is like, this will match your machine 1-to-1 and is a true digital twin. And like to do that, I was like, okay, I have trust in this. There's no guessing.
I'm going to draw an analogy though, because I think a lot of those features you appreciate and are willing to invest time in now. Like you said, it's a lot harder. And so, you'll set up a system and then somebody else will be able to use it, but it's going to be quite a bit of work, right? There's a lot of activation energy there. There's 2 ways you can teach a kid to ride a bike now. You can give them training wheels, or you can give them a balance bike. A balance bike is like a bike with no pedals and they just scoot around. And Dylan, you'll find out what this is soon. But the point is, like, if you give them a balance bike, then you get to skip the whole training wheels thing. And they just like get on, like they do the balance bike. And then like one day they pick their feet up and they're rolling. And then you just like take them off that and put them on a bike and they're riding.
Yeah.
And so the balance bike in this case is like Fusion. It has a bunch of sort of like built-in automation that's very accessible. There are limits to how powerful it can do. It can get. It can't. You're not doing all the 5-axis stuff with like the same kind of complexity. But because you were invested in Fusion and you knew the value of all that automation, you're willing to invest in Hypermill. And I heard Brad talking about it too with like CamWorks, how like once they made that system a little bit more accessible and he got more used to it, he's really got it dialed in, but it took him a really long time to get there.
He's been building that system for like 10 years, I think he said.
And I think Fusion is like the gateway drug in that sense of like, okay, I know how good it could be and how easy it is for 3-axis. And so I'm going to spend the time. And I think if you don't have that base, then it's harder to jump that hill.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, totally. I don't regret using or learning Fusion or any of that. It is, like you said, it's been the best stepping stone, but we've just gotten to the point where if we want to keep the team small and invest in automation, we needed something that is just like absolutely bulletproof. And that's what Hypermill seems to have right now. And like the other thing with Virtual Machine that is really neat, just another add-on, they have something called NC Optimizer, where you just post out code. You don't really care about clearance planes or anything like that. And then it goes through as it's posting and optimizes every linking move to be within a certain area in full 5-axis to eliminate wasted time and all that stuff. And it's just done. And then, ready to go. So yeah, there's just a lot of the safety is really like what drew us to it. Like in addition to all that, and this is something that you could do in Fusion with a post, but you just have to modify it. But like they automatically post out programs that are referenced in every single program you post from then on, that check to make sure your gauge length is within a certain tolerance that you set in the post, and that your WCS is within a certain tolerance of where it's supposed to be.
Oh,
so
I
like,
want that.
You can pretty accurately know, like, I can just run this. Like, Virtual Machine says it's good. My tools are within a millimeter of where they're supposed to be. My WCS is where it's supposed to be. Nothing should really hit, and just send it. Like, I might break a tool, but like besides that,
yeah, I'll take
we're
that
good.
too.
I was trying to figure out how to do that in Fusion. So if you can actually do that in post, I'm going to have to figure that out. That's cool.
I think you would just post out sub programs and then call it, or at least that's how
for the
Hypermill's doing
WCS,
it.
like how do you have to know where the global value is and then like do the math to figure out what your expected offset should be? I have to figure that out.
I mean, I don't think that would be, it would just be making sure your machine model, I mean, it's why Virtual Machine works, because it's like the machine model is based on the real life model.
Oh, because you tell it where 000 is.
So like that's how that's doing that. So you would need to do the same thing.
Right.
Because I'm pretty positive, like when you see like the dump file, it'd be like, you're going to see some bullshit on where it's supposed to be in Fusion when it posts out. And then, you would just be like comparing those two numbers.
Yeah. That would be so valuable though. Cause like I've definitely messed up. I messed up a part on the phone with Zap. It's like, hang on, I need to
make sure I don't crash. Fuck, I crashed.
Hang on, stop talking so that I can focus and do this properly. And then I still screwed it up because I had the wrong WCS.
It was fucking hilarious.
Oh man, that's terrible.
So that would be super valuable. Everybody should have that. That would be so valuable.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, like going back to it, I wouldn't say convert unless you absolutely have to. It's a lot of work. I know I'm going to be hundreds of hours into building my tool library and automation, like guaranteed at this point. Hopefully it all pans out like we hope it will. And it just gives us the reliability that we need.
Yeah, it will. It will.
All right. I think we've only got time for one Instagram question. And this one actually came up recently in chatting with somebody. AM Metals asked, repeat finish pass, ? Am I committing crimes or taking any taper out of the walls?
I have that checkbox in Fusion checked as a user default. Like, fuck it. I'm just running that fucker around 2 times. Like, it looks better. It's less tapered. Gets rid of the lead in, lead out lines or whatever.
That on a hard material.
On hard materials?
Like stainless or...
You still do it.
You still do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Same
like,
here.
If your speeds and feeds are right, it's not going to look fucked up on the second pass from just like...
You can rub though there and it generate a lot of heat. I think it can hurt tool life.
That's what I mean. Like, if your speeds and feeds are fucked, you're going to fuck yourself.
Okay.
Just don't fuck yourself. Yeah.
I've never had any adverse effects, at least in prototyping. I'll say that. Like, I've done a lot of 17.4 and 3.16 and all that, and like, it seems to be just fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So. And for the most part, like, I would take slightly reduced tool life for having better looking and more dimensionally consistent parts.
Yeah, I think the theory there, you guys know better than me, but like I saw a diagram once that explained rubbing to me that was really good, where it's like if your
It's like
depth
when
of
you put it in and somebody fucking bounces on the bed.
if your depth of cut, like no end mill is actually sharp, there's always like a small radius.
Yeah.
And so if your depth of cut is small enough that the material height is below the center of that radius, then you don't actually like pull a chip. You're really just like you're like pushing the material more.
Yeah.
So it generates a lot of heat.
Mhm.
And then that also will like work harden and everything. And so that can reduce your tool life.
That is
finish pass,
true.
So that secondary finish pass is like guaranteed to not,
Yeah.
that's like the
I think
cutting tool.
I think that is like a strictly correct thing, but in practice it just doesn't, because of like you do get deflection and things like that. It almost always is cutting a little bit on the second go.
Yeah.
And
right. I think on an infinitely rigid machine, then that is correct. Where like you're gonna be rubbing, but yeah, I mean, especially on a 30 taper machine like I've been running most of my life,
you're gonna get a little bit. Like,
oh yeah,
something's got to give.
I mean, it all makes sense. I also usually do a repeat finish pass, but like the amount of material removing is so small that like get below that.
There was a period of my life where I tried to not do it because some fucking jackwagon was like, he was hating hard. He's like, just use proper speeds and feeds and you don't have to do it. But like, and that's kind of true, but you have to go like so slow that it's like, well, if I would have been done if I just did it twice. Like, cause it's like not like cutting it in half. It's like cutting it in like by like 70, 80%, where you're just like crawling through that fucker, taking like 10th shipload,
right?
Like in aluminum type of stuff. And you're like, fuck me, this sucks. Just fucking run around it twice.
Yeah. I think the only time I don't do it is on parts where it's like an ISO grid or something. And you're like, I've got to finish 150 pockets and then like plus or minus 10.
Right.
It's like, okay, I don't give a shit then. Like just run one pass, whatever.
Yeah.
The dimensional
and that's
stuff
what
I'll
we
do
call
repeat.
like the triage and like aspect of it or whatever, which is like, I have my rule until it doesn't matter anymore. And then we're fucking throwing that bitch out the window because rigidity sucks in terms of rules. Rigidity is sick everywhere else, but like,
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that brings us on to shop news and new things. Anything new going on or exciting with either of you guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
besides your shop,
besides the obvious,
Chris?
that like we're getting into a new space, and that is like getting to set up a new shop space with like a bunch of shit that I've never had before, like ever, like the forklift and like the coolant system and the fucking like the granite is sick, and like having a heat treat oven. I'm really excited for the heat treat oven. Like, just, I mean, we used it on some projects, so like that's going to be nice to be like making little inserts for fixtures and being able to like just make them, harden them ourselves, and then just call it a day without having to like send it out. So just so fucking stoked. I mean, really just so stoked to have our own space.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you. I'm hopefully going to try to make it out there spring of next year, I think.
Bring the baby.
Yeah, we might have to. We got friends up there that want to see her too. What about you, Justin?
I think the big thing for us is that we're starting to get more into cutting. And so, taking Toolpath to that point where we're starting to run more stuff is going to be a big new experience. Folks were talking about coming here to do an intern week. Like some of my developers, after spending time on the machine, were like, oh, maybe I should come work here for a week. I'm like, yeah, sure. That's great.
Right.
I'm really excited to see people like excited to be on the machine. Sandy got the Bantam running, and Jan wanted to make it's like a Brio train track that he wants to make. And so seeing them connect with that at like a more physical level is really cool.
Yeah. The coolest thing about it is because like walking around, there are some like very good high level conversations happening right now, but also it's like, one of the things that we say is like, just shut the fuck up and cut, just fucking cut.
Right.
And then the conversation very quickly changes from like a high level, like, oh, what is like the right way and blah, 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 from like a strictly like correct way of doing things. So like, oh, well, that just doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
Like, and what is the more practical, like going from like this like heady, like, I don't know, almost not ethereal, but like a heady contemplative solution to like a more pragmatic solution, which is like Dylan and I giving advice.
Right. There were 3 cool moments that I'll share that I thought were really instructive. Al Watmo was working with Jan on making a set of soft jaws and was trying to explain like why you have to clamp the soft jaws with like a spacer. And he's like, well, let's go look at the vise. And he, I think, sorry, Al, the last time he cut soft jaws, it was on like probably a crummy old Kurt vise with some like flapped out, like super jiggly. Right. And we have like nice.
Just found dead in a ditch.
Like, but we have some pretty nice HWR vices with like the soft click. And so like our vices repeat. Like, so he's like, oh yeah. So like when you jiggle the soft jaw, it'll like wiggle. And then wait a second. It's not, like, it's not moving. What's going on here? So that was cool to see Al like interact with like the next generation of like work holding. And then Scott Moyse, who's like one of the best fusion trainers in the world and like makes posts for everybody. He was like, nobody ever lets me like actually run parts on the machine. I don't get to touch this. He was legitimately excited to like load parts and hit the button.
Nice.
And so that was really cool. And then the other person is Adam Morley, who I'm not sure everybody knows, but he makes like sick videos.
He's really cool.
Of like, does like all this stuff for Haas, and like probably you've seen his stuff. And like nobody's ever let him run a part. So he got to run a part and he was like, yeah, actually like loading into the vise and stuff. And I had people like changing out 0 point and they got to experience like what it's like to actually handle that stuff. And a lot of people who at Toolpath at least, but like people in the industry like haven't, actually used a Lang plate or an HWR plate. It's a little crazy.
There are quite a few people, especially like salesmen.
Yeah.
Who you'll talk to them and be like, I used to do all this stuff.
Right.
And it's like, but they used to do it like when it was just like Kurt vices and like open bed machines or whatever. And it's like, oh, I've done this before. And it's like you can just tell the disconnect when you're like, it's like, how would you do this? It's like, not how you would. That's for fucking sure. Like, you want to sell them what machine? Fuck off. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like I had a instructor in school that was like hard set against high speed machining. And then he finally went to an IMTS maybe 8 years ago or something like that. It was like, oh my God, look at all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, yeah, this is what we've been talking about.
It's good. And it's like, there's one of the very first videos I saw from Titan that was like, oh, fuck this guy kind of thing, was when it was just like a blatant misrepresentation of high speed machining and like the speeds and feeds. Cause it was the same Toolpath, but one with like traditional speeds and feeds, but it wasn't like a traditional cut. It was the dynamic cut with traditional speeds and feeds. Yeah. And then the dynamic cut with like chip thinning speeds and feeds. And it's like, yeah, of course, if you use it fucking right, it works. It's like, if like we were talking about this today, actually, on the part that the Brio train track is, it did do like a dynamic cut through these like little slots that you could just dump an end mill in and just fucking run it across and it would be fine. But like, it doesn't fucking matter in this case because nobody worked to get that Toolpath, it just happened. Like there was zero thought in terms of like what it like, and so it works, but is it proper? No. If you were going to do it in production, you would fucking slot that bitch. And like, there's just levels to the thing. Is like, yeah, it took you like literally moved a mile to go an inch, but whatever.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. One cam, metrology, or business tip or trick that helped you this week.
I don't have anything on metrology. I've barely opened my laptop this week, like at all. But business-wise, I think just continuing the theme of like, hold the fucking line, is as gnarly as that is. Times that I like still feel so fucking crazy when it's like, when you're just like constantly having to be the guys that I'm going to see in California, they're like, well, they're like, how much is the week going to be? And it's like, well, this is the rate. And they're like, well, you didn't finish last time and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, right. But also you guys weren't ready. I wrote in there that if you're not ready, like you're going to, and I have to come back, you pay for this. And also you asked me to do stuff outside of the scope. So this is the rate. And they were like, okay. It's just be like to fucking defend yourself,
Awesome.
you know? Like if they're going to give you flack and they don't want to pay you what you're worth, fuck them. Like, I mean, I guess like I'm in a good enough position to say that because if I wasn't going to go work there that week, like next week, I could just go somewhere else and get paid that money. So like, it's a bit different of a position, but like, just fucking hold the line.
I mean, supply and demand is always great, but I think in your case, the difference is that your clients are paying for results. Like, you'll show up and you'll get it done as long as they're ready for you. And if you don't get it done, you'll come back later and get it done again.
Yeah.
And so, like that kind of result is expensive. Or you could pay less and not have it done.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
Right.
I'll give a metrology tip. Not that I'm a metrologist or anything. And I think this one might be silly, so I'll probably get some crap for it. But
I saw you use calipers.
What's that?
I said, I saw you use calipers.
Yeah.
You're fucking certified, brother.
Certified, yeah. Take the battery out of your digital mics if you don't listen that often.
Yeah, that is a fucking good one.
Because like it's just annoying to like not have the battery. You can keep an infinite supply of batteries, but you just go through them. So.
Yeah. I don't know what it is on the mic, like the quantum mic on my travel kit. Like I barely use those fucking things, but I swear like whenever I need them, the battery's dead.
So I just take the battery out.
Yeah.
It's annoying because you got to re-zero it and everything.
That's why you fucking worked at NASA. Get that big brain at work.
So that's my tip is take the battery out of your mics that you don't use very often. If you use it every day, obviously.
Yeah.
That's great. One that I've got is, so we use a bunch of varying tweezers to like grab parts and manipulate them, deburr them and all that stuff. And occasionally I'll use them to hold parts to hit them with like a heat gun. So especially like sometimes on like 3D printed stuff if I'm trying to get rid of fuzzies or whatever. And the problem that I've found, unfortunately more than once, is that if you try to use like the nice plastic tipped ones when you're doing that, you'll melt them and not really realize it until it's too late. The tolerant is kind of So I found very cheap bamboo tweezers on Amazon, and they're used, I guess, normally for gold leafing and foil leafing
like
stuff because they're anti-static.
The tree,
naturally
bamboo.
Yes, made of bamboo, and so they're like $5 for 3 pairs or 4 pairs. So I figured that was a good one to pass along because I really try hard to never use metal tweezers on parts because they're always going to leave some kind of line unless you're working with some really, really hard material. So that's just another one to add to the arsenal.
Ooh, I'll share one more
tweezers.
mic one, but it's not mine. It's from Joe Rogenbuck.
Yeah.
If you just keep your mics in a drawer and you've got the black like plastic case they come with, take the lid off, like cut it off.
Yeah.
Because you just open the lid and it takes up space. You don't. The lid's doing nothing for you. If that mic is never leaving that drawer, if that case, then just take the lid off. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Last up, what have you been researching this week?
Per usual. Just lots of travel.
Man, not a ton of research this week. We have our on-site, and so I've been focused on like getting people on the machines without crashing them or blowing up parts. I have been doing a lot of like thinking about how to hand off responsibilities. This is something I'm not good at, but we're bringing on some more people to help spread the load as we're growing, and I need to hand off some of the development responsibilities. And so thinking about what that means and what my role is going to be in the company. So kind of looking up some leadership tips for that and like what it means to really hand off this level of responsibility to somebody else is what I'm looking at. I don't have any like hugely insightful things to share there, but
next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. Yeah.
Not maybe. You're giving this guy shit about not going on paternity leave until his thing is done.
I mean, I have to
come on this podcast so you have some fucking tips.
There you go. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of giving shit too, I promised that I would give you shit for not having a torque wrench for your your HWR plate. What is it? Not the same one that's on your brother though?
I don't have a torque wrench for that one either.
Ugh. Justin, you're killing me. I'm going to send you the link to the mounts.
I gotta buy two.
Buy one.
I gotta buy two.
The preset ones.
They're very affordable.
Yeah.
They're like very affordable.
Yeah. They're not like Harbor
Are those
Freight
the ones
cheap,
that I couldn't figure out how to use at your shop? They have like a false click.
Maybe.
I'll learn.
I mean, I've never felt it, but yes, I believe you that there is a false click.
Oh, yeah.
I was very tentative. Like I didn't want to break it, and I'm like, I think it clicked, but it didn't feel right.
My fingies hurt. It's so tight. Like it's okay, Justin. Keep going.
I'll get some torque wrenches.
Yes, I'll send you the link. Maybe they're still on sale, or we'll see. The thing I was researching, or the project I was working on. So speaking, I wax poetically about how advanced Hypermill is. The one thing that was frustrating me is that these tool series, once you create all the rules and stuff, there's no way to batch upload geometry to them. So like I have to now, we use a ton of the Kennametal Go drills, and I was like, great, I can make the Go drill tool series, and then I can set up all the speeds and feeds parametrically to be, per diameter, blah, blah, blah. But then I have 100 drills to input into this, or, almost 100 drills. And so I spent a lot of time with sim theory trying to create an Excel template that I could import all that stuff into, and then have it convert the CSV to an XML, which I can import into Hypermill. Was going great until I reached the point in the conversation where I'd gone too far and there was too much in memory, and then it just started losing the thread completely. Like we were working on conditional formatting, so certain columns only showed up for certain types of tools, and so I could use it for drills and corner radius end mills and blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden it started forgetting what columns were named what, and then we went back through each one of them one by one until it remembered again, and then it was like, all right, so what do you want to do? And I was like, what do you mean what I want to do? I want to continue where we just were. And it was like, oh, what was that? And I was like, all right, I'm done. I think I'm done for the day. So it was very, very fun until it wasn't fun at all, but I'll probably get back to it. Apparently, I think I was talking to Justin at PDX, and he said that Cursor, like what I told him is I was like, I wish that it would automatically every so often post out a summary of what it had done so far, and then re-prompt itself and re-upload the summary so that it kind of refreshed its memory. And apparently Cursor, which is a coding AI, does that automatically, or might do that. So I'm going to look into that and maybe
trying to
that project
get
over
a
that.
Script that will write out an XML file for all those Go drills.
Yes, that would take the CSV with all of the geometry data and then convert the CSV to an XML. I'm generating it from a Google Doc.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't even get through creating my Google Doc template before it lost its mind, because as we were going, I started realizing, I should go through the XML and like find out what things I can delete that don't need to be there and that I can fill in afterwards. And so like I had to go through and kind of scrub things and export them out of Hypermill, and then re-upload my simplified version and see if it aired out or whatever. And I have a good simplified XML now, so I know what the target is.
I think the Kennametal guys have the ability to give of their libraries. I'll reach out and see if I can get one.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be awesome, because that would save me a lot of time.
They were able to send me a Fusion one, and they were like, we just developed this Fusion export game systems. I'll see if they have something.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I still want to go forward with it, because even like I was talking to Joel at Phrasia, and they do XML exports, but only for their metric tools right now. I was like, well, but what about my inch tools? Like, I want to be able to input those as well. And so even if I can just do simple input into my little sheet, export a CSV, and then import it into Hypermill, I think that'll save me a fair bit of time, at least when I'm doing multiple tools. So
can you
I'll keep plugging away at it.
XML from Hypermill for a single drill?
Yeah. I have that already. Yeah. Wait, it gets... it doesn't get difficult. It's just different right now because there's two different ways to build tools. Like you can build a tool inside a tool series and upload an entire tool series with the tool series information and then the individual tool information, or you can do the legacy stuff where it's just the tool with its own speeds and feeds with what they call technology, and it lives on its own.
You guys are going to give me crap for jumping into another project, but there's actually value in us being able to understand the hypermill stuff. So send me those XML files and I'll.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've got 8 of them, I think, for each different type of tool that were relevant. Like, obviously, I don't need any of the turning tool stuff. And I think the indexable one only works with steps or maybe STLs or something like that. Like, you can't really like just go in and like say like, this is what my indexable with, these inserts looks like. You have to just say like, here you go. Here's the 3D model. This is what it looks like. Right. Exactly. Anyway, so that's what I've been researching this week. It's definitely getting late for me, which means it's getting very late for you both. Thank you both. Yeah, exactly. Thank you both so much for joining me. It has been great to get to catch up.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for everyone for listening. Thanks to all the Patreon members, new Patreon member, Alex. Thank you so much. You guys make the show possible. And thanks for listening. And I will be back next week.